Hi, welcome to this course where you will learn everything you need to know about IntelliJ. IntelliJ is by far one of the best IDEs for writing code. I can guarantee you that at the end of this course, you will see the benefits of IntelliJ and you will become a much better developer. Because knowing how to use IntelliJ inside out, you will be able to use keyboard shortcuts much faster, know all the tricks inside of IntelliJ, write code, like never before really. And IntelliJ is the IDE that most professional software engineers do use. Hi, my name is Nelson and it's a pleasure teaching you this awesome IDE. I've been writing code for a very long time and I've used Eclipse, NetBeans, Notepad++, and pretty much all of these IDEs that were really cool in the past. But IntelliJ is the one. So it's very customizable, very fast. It has a lot of integrations that will help you to write code and be more productive on a day-to-day basis. Without further ado, let's go ahead and learn this awesome IDE called IntelliJ. Alright, first and foremost, I want to thank you so much for being my student. My name is Nelson and I'm going to be available throughout this course to answer any questions that you have. If you haven't joined the private Facebook group, go ahead and join because that's the best way for you to get in touch with me, but also to interact and engage with other fellow students. So the best way for learning IntelliJ is to watch as I teach, but also practice as I teach, right? So I'm going to be teaching you a lot of great things and there's no point really you watching the course if you are not going to, practice or, give it a go, because that's really how you learn. And I want you to learn this awesome tool, right? I want this course to make an impact on the way that you write code so that you can become much more productive with IntelliJ. So IntelliJ is by far the best IDE. I love it. Everyone loves it and you will also love it. Let's go ahead and start our journey. All right, let's go ahead and begin this course by downloading IntelliJ. So navigate to jetbrains.com/idea and right here we can download IntelliJ. So you can pretty much just go ahead and read about what IntelliJ is, but in this course you are going to learn fully exactly how to use IntelliJ, the features, so on and so forth. So I'm going to teach you all of this, but for now let's go ahead and simply download IntelliJ. So go ahead and click on download. And right here you can see that you have for Windows, Mac OS or Linux. So the installation process for Windows and Linux is the exact same thing. I'm on a Mac, I'm going to download the version for my operating system. So also you can see that you can download Ultimate and Community. So don't worry about the Ultimate because we're going to learn that later on in this course. But for now, let's simply go ahead and download the free version of IntelliJ, which is this one right here. So Community for JVM and Android development. And right here, you can see the actual differences between these two versions, right? So actually, let me go ahead and simply say that I do agree this cookies permission. There we go. And right here, you can see that you have the differences. So the license, this one is commercial, the languages, Java, Kotlin, Groovy and Scala. And you can see that both they have support for Android, Maven, Gradle, Git, but then you can see Perforce, JavaScript, Java, Enterprise Edition, Spring Boot, and other frameworks, database, and detecting duplicates. It's all within the Ultimate version. But I'm going to show you exactly what's the difference between these two versions later on. For now, let's simply go ahead and download the Community Edition. So click on download and there we go. So this is now downloading IntelliJ. And there we go. It's done. Now, if I open up in downloads, you can see that I do have this .dmg file. And this is the file that I need to open. So go ahead and open up this file. For Windows will be an .executable, and the process is the exact same thing. Now I'm going to drag IntelliJ into my applications folder, and this should be it. So just give me a second. And there we go. Now if I close this, and I can also go ahead and delete this file right here, close this, and let me go ahead and eject this IntelliJ right here. And now if I search for IntelliJ, and you can see that we have IntelliJ Community Edition. I'm going to open, and now go ahead and simply say do not import settings. But if you have used IntelliJ in the past and you have some settings that you wish to import, go ahead and load those. But for now, I'm going to say do not import settings because I want to show you everything from scratch. So, okay. And then confirm, continue. And then you can allow them to collect some data or not. So I'm going to disagree with this. Now you can select whether you want the dark or light theme. So let me go ahead and switch to the light theme because later on I'm going to show you exactly how to switch themes. And then for now, go ahead and skip remaining and set defaults. And we're going to configure IntelliJ according to our needs later. So go ahead and skip remaining and set defaults. And there we go. You have successfully downloaded and installed IntelliJ. If you have any questions getting this far, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. When we downloaded IntelliJ Community Edition, you can see that they say Community for JVM and Android development. So before we proceed with IntelliJ, let's go ahead and install JDK, or simply Java Development Kit. So there are two ways that you can download JDK. So one, you can simply go on Google. So let me go on Google, and then you can say JDK, and then you can see right here you can download the standard edition. So right here, so this is from Oracle, and let me simply accept, and you can download the JDK 12, and you can see that you have different versions right here. So 11, 8, and I think you know, you can't even download 5 because it's past, right? So you can download all of these versions right here, and then you simply have JDK installed in your machine, and then you can pretty much write code against any language that runs under the JVM. So what we're going to do is install IntelliJ, and the best way for installing IntelliJ on a Mac computer, and if you're on Windows, you can download through this page right here, or you can simply also download Open JDK. And the difference between JDK and Open JDK is that Open JDK, it's a free and open source implementation of Java platform. So it's open source, unlike the Oracle one, which, you know, from Java 11, you pretty much need a license for it, right? So often people, you know, use OpenJDK because it's much faster in terms of, you know, getting features out there, and I highly suggest you to use OpenJDK. So to download OpenJDK, go ahead and simply click on download and install OpenJDK, and I'm going to share all of the links so you can follow along. So right here you can see that you can download JDK 9 and later 8, so you can see 8 right here, 7, 6, and I think that's about it, right? So the best way for downloading and installing for Mac OS users, and for Windows you can go ahead and either download OpenJDK or the one from Oracle, but I highly suggest you start using OpenJDK. So the best way for downloading for Mac users is if we open up Terminal, So let me open up iTerm actually, and let me center this. So make sure that you have, so let me actually show you that I do have brew. So brew, and so right here, so the missing package manager for Mac OS or Linux. So make sure that you install brew. So it's very easy. All you have to do is simply grab this line right here and then put it in your terminal. So go ahead and install brew, and then what we're going to do is, first what you need to do is simply say brew and then tap and then brew / and then cask and then version. So this will allow you to install graphical user interface packages. So you can pretty much accept all terms and conditions through this. So I already ran this command, so I'm going to skip this, and then also go ahead and tap, so brew and then tap and then adopt and then open JDK / open and then JDK. And I already have executed these two commands, and I'm not going to run them because it will take a while. So after these two commands, so what you can do is simply say brew and then search, and then simply go ahead and say Java. And there we go. So you can see that the casks, we have Eclipse Java, Eclipse JavaScript, Java 11, Java 6, Java. So this will give you the latest version of Java, NetBeans, so on and so forth. So you can see that this is Java. But if you want the JDK, simply go ahead and say JDK. And there we go. So you can see that the casks right here are OpenJDK, and then the version 10, and then you have the runtime right here. So without JDK, you have 9, 12, you've got the version 8 as well right here, and you have Oracle JDK. So you can see that I already installed OpenJDK 11. So I do have this installed. So if you want to install OpenJDK and then any version, right, simply go ahead, and if I clear the screen, simply go ahead and say brew and then say cask. And then first, let's go ahead and simply say info and then adopt open JDK, and then the actual version that you want. So remember right here, so we had a couple of versions. So let me go ahead and simply say 11. So I want to see the information for OpenJDK 11, enter, and there we go. So you can see that this is the version, and you got some links right here, you got the name, and you also have the artifact. So the way that you install this is simply by saying brew cask and then install instead of info, and then adopt OpenJDK. So let me go ahead and press enter, and you can see that this is already installed on my machine, so it doesn't have to do anything else. So go ahead and follow these steps and install whatever version that you want for OpenJDK. Go ahead and download whatever version that you want for OpenJDK. So usually I would stick with the latest version, so 11 or 12, but I wouldn't go back to, let's say, 8, because everyone is moving away from older versions of JDK. This is all for now. If you have any issues getting this far, go ahead and drop me a message, and pretty much this is the best way for you to install JDK. So once everything is done, simply go ahead and on your terminal, simply type Java -- and then version. And you can see that the version that I have is OpenJDK 11.0.4 when it was released. So this version right here that I'm using. And you can see the runtime as well as the server. So VM adopt OpenJDK and the build. So if you have any questions getting this far, go ahead and drop me a message. And for Windows, as I said, the best way for you to install JDK for Windows is simply by coming on this page right here and follow these instructions. If you are stuck, go ahead and drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to assist. Next, let's go ahead and start using IntelliJ. I've gone ahead and installed OpenJDK 12 on my machine right here. You can see. So what I want to really show you is how you can switch between versions with IntelliJ. So currently we had installed OpenJDK 11, but sometimes you might have to switch versions depending on the project that you are working. So go ahead and open up IntelliJ, and inside of IntelliJ, go ahead and click on this button right here on the very far top right. So right here you can see that I've got this icon. So what I'm going to do is simply click on it, and it's simply called project structure, and you can see the keyboard shortcut as well. So click on it, and now you can see right here that we have the project SDK. So this is how you configure the project SDK. So right here, go ahead and pretty much just click on this drop down, and then right here you can see that we have no SDK and Java 11. So to go ahead and select the JDK 12, go ahead and simply click on new and then JDK, and then navigate where the JDK 11 or 12 is. So right here you can see for me is, if I go back to Java virtual machines, oh actually let me go back to Java, and you can see that I've got the virtual machine, and then I can select OpenJDK, contents, and then home, and then simply go ahead and select home, and you can see that you have some other folders right here, but go ahead and click open, and there we go. So now you can see that we have Java 12 right here. So go ahead and simply say apply. And also right here, you can see the project language level. So right here, you can see that this is set to SDK default, which has no new language features. But if I click on it, you can see that I can select these language levels. So basically with Java 12, we have this new way of creating switch statements. So you can also go ahead and select that and basically play around with the new switch statement. And also if you want to install Java 13, you can go ahead and do so. So basically this is it. So this is how you pretty much configure your project SDK and how you can switch between JDK versions. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, join me in the next one. See ya. Now that we have OpenJDK installed in our machine, let's go ahead and create our very first project with IntelliJ. So let me go ahead and close this terminal right here and go ahead and click on IntelliJ, and you should see this screen. So right here, you can pretty much do a bunch of things. So you can even configure IntelliJ, you can check out from version control, you can open existing folders, import projects, and create projects. So in terms of configuring IntelliJ, I'm going to show you exactly within IntelliJ and not from this screen right here. But for now, let's simply go ahead and create our very first project with IntelliJ. So go ahead and click on new project. And then right here, you can see that you can create a Java project, JavaFX, Android. You can even create plugins with IntelliJ, Maven, Gradle, Groovy, Kotlin, or a simple empty project. So let's go ahead and simply create a Java project. And right here, you can see that you can select the project SDK. So remember, we installed JDK 11. So right here, it's pre-selected for us. So you can see that this is the version, Java version 11. So if you had multiple versions of Java installed, you could simply go ahead and say new, and then navigate to the correct Java version. So right here, you can see that I've got adopt OpenJDK 11, but if you had 12, you could simply select that and then specify the folder, and then you'd have Java 12. So let me go ahead and simply cancel. And if this is not pre-populated for you, go ahead and set it according to your JDK installation path. And do not select additional libraries and frameworks. And then we can create a project from template. So let me click on that. And this will be a Java application that includes a class with main method. So right here at the bottom. So let me go ahead and press next. Now let's go ahead and name this project. So let's go ahead and simply say my and then dash app. So for now. And right here, the project location, let's go ahead and change this. So I usually have every single project under a folder called code, and then inside you have all the projects. So make sure that you follow this pattern as well, so that you have everything organized. And then for the base package, go ahead and say com and then your company name, or you know, try and think about a package name that makes sense. So usually it's com dot and then, you know, the company name, the project name, or something along those lines. And finally, let's go ahead and press finish. And then simply say OK. And there we go. So you can see that we pretty much created our very first project with IntelliJ. So you can see that they offer you tips of the day. You can go ahead and pretty much just, you know, look at these tips to learn more about IntelliJ. And for now, let's go ahead and pretty much just close this. And this is it. So we finally managed to create our very first project. Now, sometimes this might be closed for you, so you might see a screen like this. So all you have to do is simply click on this tab right here on the left hand side. So if I click on that, you can see that expands the folder structure. Now let me go ahead and put this full screen. And what I'm going to do here is simply write some Java. So go ahead and simply say SOUT and then press enter. And within that, simply say hello and then world. So within quotes, say hello world. Now you can see that you have this play button right here. So go ahead and simply click on the play button and then run main. And there we go. So you can see right at the bottom, hello world. So this, it's working, and you've managed to create your very first project with IntelliJ. So obviously, you know, having a main method with hello world is nothing, but you get the idea. So this is how you create a project with IntelliJ. I'm going to teach you more about projects later on, but this is for us to get started and start exploring IntelliJ. All right, let's go ahead and explore a bit of this user interface. IntelliJ has a lot of features, a lot of great things that you can do. And in this course, you will learn exactly how to use the most important features of IntelliJ. So let me first give you a quick overview of this user interface, because you can see that there is a lot going on, but I want to simplify it for you. And throughout this course, we will learn exactly how to use the best features of IntelliJ. So right here in the main screen, so right here where you can see this piece of code right here. So this is where you write your code, right? So we wrote this system.out.println hello world. And then if you want to run this, you simply can right click and then you can say run main. So you can run here, or you can pretty much just click on this play button and that will execute the code. So if I run this, there we go. So this is what you saw previously. Next, right here on the left hand side, this is where you create your classes, files, and everything that has to do with your code. So you can see that inside of my app, I've got this folder right here called src out and then IDEA. So IDEA, this is stuff specifically for IntelliJ. Right here, you can see that this is how IntelliJ, sets the workspace, the project template, the modules, encodings, and some descriptions. So rarely you will touch on these. So whenever, for example, you change a setting within IntelliJ, that will be saved inside of one of these files right here. Then you have the out. So this depends on project, right? So if you are using Maven, you'll have a target folder, but right here we simply get the out file, and you can see that it says production. And basically this is the compiled version of your class that you've just executed. So again, you don't have to worry about this. But what you need to care is the src, and this is where, remember, we set the package name, so comp.amigos code right here. So if I open that up, you can see that we have this class right here, which is this one that you see on the right hand side. So right here, you can create multiple classes, multiple packages, and a lot of great things I'm going to show you. So you can see, for example, you have scratch files and consoles, and we will learn about these in a second. So let me go ahead and walk you through these menu items right here, which they are really important for us as developers to maximize our productivity with IntelliJ. So the first one is this one, IntelliJ IDEA. So right here, you can get access to your preferences. So this is where you configure things such as font size, plugins, live templates, a lot of other great things that I'm going to show you in a second. But then you can see right here that if you are not running the latest version of IntelliJ, you can simply check for updates, and you can pretty much just download the latest version, or you can configure automatic updates. So I already have the latest version and I don't have to do anything. So next, in the file menu item, right here you can see that there is a lot going on. So here is where, for example, you can open recent projects, you can open existing projects, you can export your settings, you can export a project to Eclipse, you can save all, you can add to favorites, and pretty much this is where you do most of your exporting and saving your projects. And also right here you can see that we have invalidate caches and restart. So this is when sometimes you might having some issues with IntelliJ, so this will help resolve some of those issues. Next, you have edit. So in here you can see that there is a lot going on. So you have everything that helps you to edit your code. So you can see that you can cut, you can copy, you can find, you can select all, you can join lines, duplicate lines, so on and so forth. So also the cool thing here is that you can see most of these options, they do have a keyboard shortcut. So I, for example, never do something like this. So I'm going to cut this, I'm going to select that, and then go to edit and then cut. So I will never do that. So if I press Command Z, so you can see right here, the keyboard shortcut is Command and then X. So all I do is simply Command X, and that's it. So next, let's go ahead and look at view. So here you can see that you can view your tool windows, your appearance. So for example, if you want to enter presentation mode, so this is where, for example, you might want to present some of your code, or you are doing a live demo. So there is a lot of things that we're going to cover in this course, but just bear in mind that you can, present code as well. So let me exit out of that and let me go back to view. Right here, you can see that you can view recent files, you can view parameter info, you can compare with, so this is more for, Git, but I'm going to show you exactly when we cover the Git section. And right here, you can see that you can switch themes. So if you want, for example, a dark theme with IntelliJ, this is where you do it. But I'm going to show you again how to configure IntelliJ properly. Next, you have navigate. So this is where you can navigate around your code. And as I said right here, so for example, if you want to search for classes, you press Command O, and if you want to go back, you press Command and then square brackets. And there is a lot of things that are really helpful that helps you navigate around your code base. Next, you have some code. So this is where, for example, you can generate code, you can add comments, you can move statements up and down, and basically this helps you to write code faster. You have analyze, so this is where you can analyze your code. For example, you can show code coverage. So this is where you have some tests and you want to see whether you are meeting the minimum coverage percentage, right? So this is really, really important. Also, you have refactoring. So this is where you refactor code. You know, again, this is very powerful. We will learn about that. Build, so this is where you build your project. You compile, you generate the Ant build if you are using Ant, and you can analyze your APK. Next, you have run. So this is where you run the application. So you can say run, debug, run with coverage, and you can edit configurations. You can also see here that you can toggle breakpoints. This is more for debugging purposes. You also have tools. So right here, this is where you can switch tasks, you can save live templates, you can manage project templates, and you can generate your Java docs from here. And also you can see that you have some tools for Groovy Console and Kotlin. And then you have VCS. So this is mainly for Git integration, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it because it's very, very powerful. And often you might not even need to use the terminal for using Git. And then you have Windows. So this is where you manage your window. So you can zoom in, you can store current location as default, you can restore. So if you've messed up your layout, you can restore. And you can see, for example, you know, the active tools, so on and so forth. So this is also really good. And then you can see that you can get some help. So you can get, you know, the key maps. So all the keyboard shortcuts. You can see the tip of the day. You can see what's new with IntelliJ. You can contact support, submit a bug report, submit feedback, and, you know, do all the cool things. So this is pretty much a brief overview of, you know, all the options, more or less, but we're going to dive into these in detail throughout this course. Next, let's go ahead and learn how to configure IntelliJ according to our needs. All right, let's go ahead and learn how to create a class with IntelliJ. So right here, you can see that on the left hand side in the project section, so right here, so in this section right here, you can see that we have our main class. And this main class simply has this main method, right? Public static void main, string, and then some args. So right here, remember that we did run this. So I've just pressed the play button right here. And you can see that it says hello world. So let's go ahead and quickly create a class with IntelliJ. So to create a class, you simply right click and then say new. And then you can see that we can create a bunch of other things. But what we are interested is a Java class. And you can even see that you can also create a Kotlin class, a Scratch file. So this is mainly for playing around, a package, and some other things. But for now, let's go ahead and create a Java class. And right here, you can see that you can pick between different class types. So you can pick an interface, an enum, annotation, or even a Java FX application. So for this, let's go ahead and simply select class, and then let's simply name this as product. And then press enter, and there we go. So now you can see that you have a public class product. Now let's go ahead and simply create a field. So go ahead and simply say private, and then simply say string. So this is some Java, and let's give this product a field called name. Now let's also create a constructor. So public, and then product. And this product will receive the name. And let's go ahead and say this dot name equals name. So this is some Java. And if you've never done Java, don't worry. So this is simply a POJO, a plain Java object that simply represents something in the real world. So in our case, it's a product. So now let's go ahead and define a getter. So simply type get, and you can see that we have some auto completion. So go ahead and simply press enter, and there we go. Now the way that we use this class is simply by going to our main class, and then right here, so after the hello world, let's go ahead and simply say product, and then simply call it product equals to new and then product. So here we are creating an instance of this class called product, and then for the name, let's simply say keyboard, and then end that with semicolon. Now if you want to get the name of this product, remember we have this method right here, so get name. Let's go back and simply say system dot and then out dot print line, and then simply say product dot and then get name. And what I'm going to do now is simply run this class again, so the main one, and there we go. So you can see that you have a keyboard right here. So you have hello world, and you also have keyboard. So this keyboard comes from this class that we've instantiated right here named product. And this is how you create a Java class with IntelliJ. But as you saw, you can create not only a Java class, but you can also create Kotlin, a file, a package, and so on and so forth. So this is all for now. Join me in the next one. Let's quickly learn how to create a package with IntelliJ. A package is simply a way for you to organize your code. So in your code base, you might have different packages to represent different parts of your application. So right here, remember that we created this class called product. So let's actually go ahead and create a package for it and then place it inside, because usually you wouldn't structure your classes like this. So for example, if you had 1000 classes, you wouldn't put them inside of com.amigos code. So com.amigos code is the main package, and then inside you can have sub packages. And basically a package is simply a folder, right? So let's go ahead and simply right click and then say new, and then right here go ahead and create a new package. And you can see that it starts with com.amigos code dot, and this is because the package that we are about to create will be inside of com.amigos code. So let's go ahead and name this as model. So this is a model for this simple application. So go ahead and press OK, and you can see that we have the model package right here. So I could actually go ahead and create a new class right here, and then say product, copy and paste, so on and so forth. But what we can do is simply take this class right here called product and then drag inside of model. And right here you can see that we have this move dialog, and basically this dialog allows us to refactor other classes that use this class called product. So usually the main thing that you would do is simply change the actual import statement. So let me go ahead and simply say refactor, and there we go. So now you can see that inside of model we have product. So we could also go ahead and create a new package, so you can see exactly how this would go about. So let's go ahead and simply say that this would be the actual service. So service package, and inside of this package, oh actually sorry, let me just go ahead and press refactor and then rename. So packages, they should always start with lowercase. So it's actually good for me to mention that to you. So they should always begin with lowercase, and you should avoid any camel casing whatsoever. So let me go ahead and refactor this, and this now changes it to lowercase service. So inside of this service package, this is where, for example, you would put code that does business logic for your application. So we're not going to create a new class for the service, but I just want you to see how to structure your code using packages. So go ahead and open up the main class. And right here, you can see that before we didn't have this import statement. And the reason why we didn't have this import statement was because product was in the same package level as the main class. So in fact, if I go ahead and put it back as it was before, so I've just dragged it into the parent package and then refactor. Let me go back to main. You can see that the import goes away. So as soon as I put it back into model and then go back to main, you can see that now we have this import statement. So in fact, if I remove this import statement, we get a red error saying that we need to import this class. So go ahead and simply press import class, and there we go. And this is how you use packages with IntelliJ. All right, let's go ahead and learn how to set up and configure IntelliJ in this section. First, let's go ahead and learn how to increase the font size. So go ahead and pretty much click on IntelliJ and then go to Preferences, or you can see the keyboard shortcut Command and then comma. So I'm going to click on Preferences, and then right here you can see that we have a bunch of options. So you have appearance and behavior, key map, editor, plugins, version control, so on and so forth. So this is how you configure everything within IntelliJ. So first, let's go ahead and expand the editor section, and then you can see that we have font. And you can see the default font is 12. So what I want to do is increase this for you so you can see exactly properly. So let me go ahead and increase this to 20. And you can also change the font type, right? So you can go to Monaco, monospace, so on and so forth. But I'm going to keep that one as the default. Next, let me go ahead and simply say apply. And you can see that now you can see this is much bigger, right? So in fact, let me go ahead a step further and simply say 24 and then apply. There we go. And if I click OK, you can see that this now is much visible and clear to you. If I now go ahead and run this main method, so if I press the play button and then run, you can see that we have hello world, but this also is a bit small. So let's go ahead and pretty much just increase the font size for our console. Again, go ahead to preferences, and then what we're going to do is within the editor section, so within editor section, expand the color scheme, and then right here you can see console font. So also for that one, let me go ahead and make it slightly bigger. So I'm going to make 18 and then apply, and you can see that it has increased. Actually, let me actually make it the same, so 24 and then apply. There we go. So the reason why I'm making it so big is so that you can see exactly things properly. But usually I don't code with really font sizes. So I usually go with 12 or 14. But I just want to show you that you can increase the font size, and also for you to follow along will be much easier. Now if I press OK, and there we go. So this is how you increase the font size with IntelliJ. All right, let's go ahead and learn how to configure the key maps for IntelliJ. So if you have come from all the versions of IntelliJ and you've been using IntelliJ for a very long time, there are different key maps that you can pick from. And also, if you are an Eclipse user, you can pretty much stick with your Eclipse keyboard and use it within IntelliJ. So the way that you configure keyboard key mappings is again in settings, and then preferences, and then go to key map, and then right here you can see that the selected key map is default for Mac OS. So I usually don't like this one right here, and I'm not sure exactly the one that I use, but for now you can see that you can pick different ones. So you can pick Xwin, Eclipse, Mac OS, Mac OS, Emacs, IntelliJ IDEA Classic. So this is the one I prefer. And then you can see NetBeans, Sublime, and Visual Studio. So if you come from all of these different IDEs, you can use your keyboard shortcuts, which means that if you know a lot of keyboard shortcuts, you can stick to them and start using them right away. But the one that I use for IntelliJ is the classic one. So before I actually select that one, so just let me show you something. So if I close out of that, now go ahead and press Command and then O. So Command O gives us the ability to search between files, classes, symbols, and actions. But I don't like Command O for searching for classes, files, symbols, and actions. The one I prefer is Command N. So what I'm going to do is escape out of this, go to Preferences. So again, Preferences, or you can use Command and then comma. So let me actually use Command and then comma, Command, comma, and then within key maps, let me switch that to IntelliJ IDEA Classic and then apply. Okay. Now if I press Command O, this gives me a different option, and that's the one that I'm used to. Now the way that I do search for classes, files, symbols is by pressing Command and then N. And you can see now I get the keyboard shortcuts that I prefer. Now go ahead and select the keyboard shortcut that you prefer, but for following along throughout this course, go ahead and pick the classic, and I can guarantee that by the end of this course, you will love the classic keyboard key mappings. This is all for now. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. Let's go ahead and learn how to switch themes within IntelliJ. So there are 3 themes that you can use within IntelliJ. So you have the white one, and this is the one that I'm using. And then you have the dark, and then you have high contrast. So usually if you spend hours and hours coding, I suggest you switch to the dark theme because it doesn't hurt your eyes as much as if you are using the white theme throughout the day. So the way that you switch themes within IntelliJ is go to View, and then you can see right here, Quick Switch Theme. So click on that, and then go ahead and pick either color scheme or look and feel. So both of those will work. So 1 or 5. So let me go ahead and pretty much just pick 1. And then right here, you can see that you can select between 3 color schemes. So you have the default, which is the white one, and then you have Dracula and high contrast. So let me go ahead and switch to Dracula and pretty much just say yes. And there we go. Now you can see that I'm using the dark theme. And to be honest, this is my preferred theme if I'm doing long hours, because my eyes do not hurt as much as if I use the white throughout the day. And to be honest, it's really, really, really good, this theme. You can also switch between the high contrast. So if I go to View and then Quick Switch Scheme, and then this time, let me go ahead and pick 5. So look and feel, and then go ahead and pick high contrast. So you can see that the colors do invert and you have this high contrast look. Personally, I don't like this one, but I've seen people using it. It really depends on what you like. So let me go ahead and switch to the white one because I think will be easier for you to follow along throughout this course. So switch scheme, and also you can see the keyboard shortcut right here. So let me go ahead and pretty much just select it and then color scheme, and let me stick to the default and then yes, and there you go. Finally, you can also install themes and color themes that don't ship with IntelliJ. So let me go ahead and show you that. Right here, you can see that if you go to plugins, JetBrains.com, and then search for Material UI, you can install this theme right here, which is completely different, and to be honest, looks really cool. You can also select color themes. So this is the actual color theme for your editor, so where you write code. So you can see that you can select from a bunch of different themes, and to be honest, they all look awesome. So there we go. This is how you switch themes within IntelliJ. Go ahead and select the one that you prefer, but for this course, I'm going to keep it simple, white, so that you can follow along without no issues. Alright, so far you've been seeing that I've been actually using these menu items right here, and then if I want to go to preferences, I click here, or if I want to switch between themes, I go to view and then quick switch scheme, so on and so forth. But this is, not really productive, because the way that you should be using IntelliJ is by using and learning keyboard shortcuts. So because there is a lot of functionality out there, what I recommend you is to install a plugin that will help you to memorize these keyboard shortcuts. And also when I use them, you can see them right away. So what I want you to do is to go to IntelliJ and then preferences, or you can simply press command and then comma. And then right here, go to plugins. And then within plugins, go ahead and search for Presentation Assistant. So this very first one right here, go ahead and install and then accept. And then let me restart my IDE. Restart. And there we go. If I close this, now go again to preferences, and then within preferences, go ahead and search for Presentation Assistant. Presentation. There we go. And right here, you can see that you can customize a few things. You can customize the font size, the display duration, whether you want center, left, or right, and then the vertical alignment. But more important, go ahead and change this according to your key mapping. So remember, the key mapping that we are using is IntelliJ IDEA Classic. So go ahead and change this to IntelliJ IDEA Classic. Now apply. Okay. Now watch this. Let's say that you want to learn the keyboard shortcut for cutting this line. So remember, you have to go to actually you select this, and then you go to edit, and then right here you can simply cut. So it's Command X. There we go. Now at the bottom you can see the keyboard shortcut for cutting, which is really, really great. Now if I press Command Z, you can see that you can see the keyboard shortcut that I've just used. So Command Z. And also the cool thing about it is that you can see the same keyboard for Windows. Now let me go ahead and show you that. So let's say that we want to refactor this by simply putting into a variable. We haven't learned about refactoring, but for now, let me go ahead and press Option, Command, and then V. And you can see the keyboard shortcut down below for both Mac OS and Windows. So this is awesome. So let me go ahead and simply say hello and then world, and then press enter. And there we go. Now, if I want to inline this again, i.e. put it as it was before, I can also use a keyboard shortcut. And for now, let me go ahead and press Command, Option, and then N. And then you can see the keyboard shortcut down below for both Mac and Windows. So now you can follow along and learn the keyboard shortcuts as I teach. Now, let me go ahead and simply say, do not show this. And I want to inline all variables and remove the variable one occurrence refactor. And there we go. And one last thing that I want to point out is if you come from NetBeans or Eclipse, so you can simply go ahead and configure Presentation Assistant to show you the corresponding keyboard shortcut. So if I press Command and then comma, and then within Presentation Assistant, you can see the alternative key map. So right here, go ahead and change this to, for example, let's say you want to learn the one for Eclipse, and then you can change the description, apply, and then whatever action that you do, it will show you the corresponding keyboard shortcut for Eclipse. You can also change it to NetBeans and Sublime and all of these options right here. This is all for now. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. All right, in this section, let's go ahead and learn how to navigate our way around and searching through files with IntelliJ. So what I want you to do first is to navigate to github.com amigos code and then find this repository, Spring Boot React Full Stack. And the reason why I want you to check out this repo is because there is a lot of classes and content that we can use within IntelliJ. So I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video so you can easily access this. So go ahead and pretty much click clone or download and then grab this URL and go back to IntelliJ. And then right here where you see the VCS, you can go ahead and pretty much click on that. And then you can see that we can check out from version control and then we can select Git. So right here, if I paste the URL, and what I'm going to do first is test the connection. And you can see that the connection was successful. Another way that you could clone is from the main screen. So if I close this, and right here you can see that you can click on checkout from version control, select Git, and this is the exact same screen. So you can see that that will be inside of code and then Spring Boot React Full Stack. If I test, you can see that works, and then clone. We're going to learn more about Git and VCS later on in this course, but for now, this is so that we can start using a lot of these classes and files so that we can use it for learning purposes with IntelliJ. So let me go ahead and simply say yes. And there we go. So now this will resolve the dependencies for this project, and you can see that it's downloading a few things. But after this is done, we're going to carry on. All right, this is now completed and we have successfully checked out the project from GitHub. So now let me go ahead and collapse this. I'm going to collapse this and let me go ahead and expand project. So within project, you can see that we have a Spring Boot React Full Stack. I'm going to open that up and then you can see that we have course files. We have a source, JS, main, Java, and then right here we have a couple of classes. So right here, if I, for example, show you this class, you can see that this is some code that interacts with a database. So this is some SQL, and this is using this class right here, which simply allows us to perform some operations against the database. But you don't have to learn none of this because I just want to show you exactly how we're going to navigate around and search for files using IntelliJ. So let me close this. So let me press on X right here. And if I expand these packages, so let me also expand this resources right here. So let's say that you want to search for everything, right? So you want to search everywhere. And in fact, you can see the keyboard shortcuts are really in front of me, right? So you can see search everywhere. It's pretty much just simply double press the shift. So I'm going to press shift 2 times and you can see that I'm searching everywhere. So let's say that you want to search for a class called data and then source. You can see, or actually source, so data source. You can see that I'm searching for data source. So if I press enter, you can see that I'm inside of this class right here. So if I close this right here, so searching everywhere, really, it's really helpful because let me just press again. You can pretty much just, say, for example, application dot and then YAML, and you search everywhere. So this is really great where you don't know what you are searching for. But if you know what you're searching for, you can narrow down the search. So right here, you can see that we are searching everywhere. So this is all, but we can search for classes, files, symbols, and actions. So let me just close out of that. So if you want to search for classes, simply press Command and then N. And you can see that now I'm searching for classes. So if I say API and then exception, you can see that I'm getting the API exception class right here, and I can pretty much just navigate into it. So if I close this again, so if I press Command N, you can see that I do get the previous search. But let me go ahead and remove this. And another way of you searching for classes is that you don't have to type the fully qualified class or the entire class name, right? So for example, you see that we have a class right here called Student Data Access Service. So I can simply say student and then access and then service. And you can see that I'm saying SAS, and IntelliJ knows exactly how to search for, because it's using the search for classes matching a specific pattern using camel case. So right here, if I say D, you can see that I highlighted SDS, so Student Access Data Service. So the same way, if you want to search for API Exception Handler, you can simply say A and then E and then H, right? API Exception Handler. So this is really, really helpful because sometimes you might have thousands of classes and you want to be able to search for your classes easily, so you can pretty much just search like that instead of the full name. So I use this quite a lot. So next, you can search for files. So right here, you can see files. So you can also switch between what you are searching for by pressing the tab command. So right here, you can see that now it switched to tab. But if you want to search for files right immediately, you can simply escape out of this and then press Command Shift and then N. So right here, you can see that now I'm searching for files. So let's go ahead and simply say application and then YAML, and you can see that this is only files. So right here, inside of DB migration, you can see that I've got some SQL files. Let's say that I want to search for all SQL files. I can say star and then .SQL. And you can see that I get all the SQL files within my project. So this is really, really powerful. So this is all for this video. If you have any questions on how to search, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. Another powerful way of searching for words and regular expressions and patterns is by pressing Shift, Control, and then F. So find in path allows you to search pretty much everywhere. So you can see right here the directory. So right here, I can say I want to search only in test or in a module or in the entire project. So let's say that I want to search, for example, for the word hello. So I can go ahead and say hello, and you can see that these are the places where hello it's being used. So you can also match case. So let's say that I want to search to everywhere where hello starts with H, and obviously this doesn't match. You can also search for a regular expression. So let me go ahead and switch that. And right here, so let's go ahead and add a regular expression. So let's go ahead and simply say dot and then star, and then followed by at, and then followed by anything, and then star. And you can see that we found a bunch of things, right? So we can go ahead and narrow this down to anything that ends in .com. So this would be plus, and you can see that assert true, and then hello@gmail.com. So this is our search. So again, this is very powerful. I use it quite often. You can also add a file mask, so anything that ends in .java or let's say .js. You can see that we have a bunch of JavaScript here as well. So this is really powerful. I use it all the time. And if you want to narrow down to a specific folder, simply select the folder that you want to search. So let's go ahead and search in exception. And let me go ahead and open up a class here. So let's say that you want to search for bad request within exception. So if I close that and that, so within this package, simply press Shift Control F and then remove the file mask and then simply say bad request. And there we go. It only narrows down the search within the directory. And this is a very powerful way of searching. And the keyboard shortcut once more is Shift Control and then F. And you can see right at the bottom for both Windows and Linux as well. All right, let's go ahead and learn about the file structure. So go ahead and open up any class really. So in my case, I'm going to open up the student controller. And right here, you can see that we have some code, right? So usually if you have a class, so a very long class, and you pretty much just want to, get the file structure, i.e. view, the methods, the inner methods, you can simply do that by pressing this file structure tab right here, which is, a bit hidden. But if I click on that, you can see that I can see the file structure. So here, this is the class, and then we have the constructor, and right here we have a couple of methods. So you can see that I can navigate between methods just like that, right? So this is nice, but you can see that it's a bit hidden, and there is a better way to view the file structure. So if I collapse this, so instead of doing that, I can simply go to navigate, and then within navigate, you can see that right here, I've got file structure. So it's simply command and then F12. So if I press that, I get the same thing, but in a much nicer way. So again, I can navigate between methods, constructors. So let me actually go ahead and press command shift 12. And you can see that I can go ahead and say, you know what, I want to, for example, navigate to update student. And if I press enter, there we go. I'm right inside of the update student method. So this is one that I use a lot, and I think you should be using it as well. So if I open up student access service, so right here, you can see that this class is, quite big, right? So it's quite big. So what I can do is simply use again the file structure. So shift and then F12, and I can see everything within this class, and even anonymous classes, inherited members, you can select those, and lambdas, which is amazing. So you can see that when I select this, I can see that there is a lambda right here, and this is the lambda is email taken, right? So if I select on that, and that navigates to this lambda right here. So it's one that I use a lot and very, very useful. Let's say that you want to find out where this method right here, so select all students within student data access class. So where this method, it's being called throughout the entire project, right? So right here, I simply see a method called select all students, but I don't know what is actually calling this method. So this is one that I also use all the time, and it's really, really great. So go ahead and pretty much select this method. And then if you go to navigate, and then you can see the call hierarchy, right? So if I select that, I can see that I get the call hierarchy for this method. And one thing that I'm going to change here is the scope. So right here, I simply want production. So production means that you don't care about tests, and you just want to see where this is being used everywhere else tests. So if I select production, and there we go. So now right here, you can see that this is the method select all students. It is being called from the student service. So if I click on that, you can see that this takes me to student service class, right? And then this method, get all courses for students, it's being called from the controller, so student controller. So if I select that, you can see that this takes me to the entry point. And if I expand that, you can see that this is the actual entry point. So you can see that now I know where, so if I collapse this, so now I know exactly where this initial method right here, so select all student courses, is being called from. So the same we can do with other methods. So if I pretty much just look for insert student, now I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. So there we go. You can see at the bottom, I've just pressed Control Option and then H. So right here, you can see that this insert student is being called from student service. So I can go to the service class, and then this is also being called from the student service. So right here, there is another invocation. So right here, and if I keep going, you can see that this comes from student controller. So this is the main entry point right here, and this is the method. So this is very useful when you want to know where the entry point is and you want to follow the hierarchy for a specific method. So what I want to teach you in this video is find usages. So find usages is less powerful than method hierarchy because it simply gives you where the method is being used. So let me actually collapse this for now and go ahead and simply right click, and then you can see right here find usages, and also you can see the keyboard shortcut, right? So for me it will be Option and then F7. So in fact, let me use the keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to put my cursor on insert student and then Option and then F7. So right here you can see that I get this panel right here, or this screen, and this is the usages for insert student. So right here you can see that the only usage, so you can see that I found one usage, and the only usage is within this class right here called student service under this method right here, add new student, and then this is a line 46. So if I click on that, you can see that this takes me just one level up, right? So this is the difference. So right here I can see that this insert student is being used on line 46 within student service. So it is really powerful to find usages, but I think method hierarchy is much better. So let me actually go back to insert student, and so that you know the difference. So if I now use method hierarchy, so Control Option and then H, and right here you can see that not only I'm getting add new student, but right here I get the full hierarchy. So right here I can see that it goes a step further to the entry point, and you can see that it keeps on going, and finally this is where it finishes. And if I click on that, I can see that this starts from this class right here called student controller. So this is the difference between find usages and method hierarchy. I personally prefer method hierarchy because I can see the full hierarchy of my code. In this section, I really want to stress out the point of keyboard shortcuts. By learning keyboard shortcuts, you will become a better developer and much more productive, because you don't have to spend time trying figuring out things and how to do things, and how to refactor, how to open windows, and how to delete stuff. So basically, if you can write code fast, right? Because I'm pretty sure that you are an awesome developer. But if you don't know how to use the right tool and you are very slow using it, then you will be wasting a lot of time. So by learning keyboard shortcuts, you will be much more productive. So if there is anything that I want you to take from this course is to learn the keyboard shortcuts. And you're not going to learn the keyboard shortcuts just like that, right? It just comes with, time and using it over and over and over again. So if you want to do something, try and learn the keyboard shortcuts. Also, by using Presentation Assistant, it will help you to memorize the keyboard shortcuts. So that's how I really know all the keyboard shortcuts. This is all for now. Let's carry on learning about this awesome IDE. What I want to show you in this video is how you are going to be able to use your IDE without a mouse. So the first thing that I want to show you is how you are going to open up Windows. So you can see right here, so in the project section, right, you can see that you have the project right here, but also if you look carefully, you have a number, right? So 1 and then colon project. The same with right here. So you can see the structure, you have 7 and then structure. The same with favorites, the same with find. So you have a number 3 and then find, 6 to do, 9 version control. So what that means is that if you press command and then 1, so any of the numbers, you can see that it will toggle. And for Windows, you can see the keyboard shortcut down below. Now, if I want to open the project section again, I simply press command and then 1. So for the structure, I can go ahead and pretty much press command and then 7. And there's no structure because I need to select a class. So if I select this class, you can see that now I get the structure. And if I collapse 1, so the same with find, I can go ahead and press command and then 3. And you can see that there we go. And I can press command 6 for to-dos, command and then 9 for version control. And basically, wherever you see a number, you can press command and then that will open a window. Now, if you want to reset the default, so let's say that you open 9 and then 3 and then 1, and let's say that you want to reset the layout, simply press Shift and then F12, and there we go. And now you can start from scratch. So let me press command and then 1, and that will open the project section. As you can see, IntelliJ, it's very powerful. So once you learn all these tricks, you will become a much better developer, more productive, and you will realize that IntelliJ, it's really powerful. Do you know that you don't need a mouse to work with IntelliJ? So sometimes using a mouse can really slow you down by, dragging and then clicking and doing all of these things. So let me prove to you that you don't need a mouse at all. So what I'm going to do here is let me go ahead and pretty much press command and then 1. So right here, I'm not using the mouse whatsoever. So I'm going to press command and then 1. And then you can see that I can now select the classes, right? So I can select the classes, I can open up packages, and I can close packages by pressing left, and then it closes the package. So the same if I press left again, you can see that it's closing everything, right? So you can see that right here, I'm not even using the mouse. I'm just using the arrows. Now, let me go ahead and open up a class. So let me go ahead and open up, let's say, email validator. So I'm going to press enter. So I'm not using the mouse. Now, if I want to write some code, I can press escape. And now you can see that my cursor is right here and I can write some code, right? Now, if I want to go back to the project section again, simply press command and then 1. And you can see that I'm right here. So let me go back and then press command Y to delete those lines. And there we go. So hopefully you start to see the power of IntelliJ, and pretty much once you learn how to use your keyboard and shortcuts, you will be flying writing code. So let me go ahead and show you a very nice plugin that will help you to navigate within your text editor by simply jumping to certain sections of your code. So let me go ahead and press Command and then comma. So you see I'm not using the mouse. And then go ahead and search for plugins. So let's go ahead and open plugins, and I'm simply using the arrows. So now I'm going to use the mouse. I want to cheat here. But go ahead and search for Ace and then jump. And the reason why it's not finding is because I need to go to Marketplace. And there we go. So you can see that you have Ace Jump right here. So go ahead and install Ace Jump and restart the IDE. Restart. And there we go. So I'm going to untick this and then close. And now the way Ace Jump works is if you press Control and then semicolon, you can see that I do get this blue selection right here. And what this means now is if I press up, you can see that I can navigate to specific sections by simply pressing the corresponding letter. So let's say I want to jump to the end of this class, simply press T, and there we go. Let me go ahead and press Control and then semicolon to activate Ace Jump. And now if I press right, you can see that now I can go to the end of certain sections. If I press left, you can see that it's just the beginning, and up, it simply moves one indentation to the right. So it's really cool. Now, if I press escape, if I go ahead and activate Ace Jump again, so Control and then semicolon. Now, if I want to jump where the equal sign is, right here, I can simply press equal, and you can see that I can now press the letter which is corresponding next to my selection. If I press F, there we go. You can see that I'm right here and I can start writing code. So by installing Ace Jump plugin, it gives you even more powers. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. In this section, let's go ahead and focus on developer productivity. So what I want to teach in this section is really how you can write code faster, and basically how you're going to be able to, boost productivity when writing code. So in this video, let's go ahead and open up the React full stack repo that we've cloned previously. So in this video, let me go ahead and show you how you're going to be able to generate code when writing your own projects, i.e. your models. So let's go ahead and create a new package under the main package. So com.amigos code and then demo. So I'm going to press Control and then enter, and you can see the keyboard shortcut down below. Now let me go ahead and simply say package, and right here simply go ahead and say notification. So we're going to mimic some things, but for now, go ahead and simply create a new package. And inside of that package, let me go ahead and create a new class. So a new Java class, and then go ahead and simply name this as notification, and then press enter. And there we go. So now we have a notification. And also you can see that this class right here, it's red. And if you have a dialog like this one, go ahead and simply say no. And basically this tells whether you want to add this class to GitHub. Go ahead and pretty much say cancel and then do not remind me. So I'm going to show you exactly what this means, and I'm also going to show you how to use VCS and Git with IntelliJ. So now let's go ahead and simply create two fields. So let's go ahead and simply say private, and then right here simply say string and then message. And also let's go ahead and say private and then zone date time, and let's name this as timestamp. So this is when the message was sent, for example, or received. So now let's go ahead and pretty much generate some code. So usually if you wanted to generate constructor, you would simply do that manually. The same with getters, toString, and equals, and a hash code. And basically all of that is boilerplate code that IntelliJ can help us with. So to add the fields to a constructor, simply go ahead and press Control and then Enter. And you can see that we have a couple of options. So let's go ahead and simply generate constructor. And now you can see that we can add these two fields to constructor. So what I'm going to do is simply select all of them and then press OK. And you can see that now we've generated some code. Also, if you want an empty constructor, go ahead and press Control Enter and then constructor and then select none. And you can see that now you have an empty constructor. The same with getters and setters. So Control Enter and then select getters, select all of those, and there we go. Let's go ahead and do the same with setters. So setters, or actually you can even say getter and setter. So let me actually delete this so you can see exactly. So Control Enter, getter and setter, and OK. And there we go. You can see that now we have get message, set message, and also get timestamp, set timestamp. Let's go ahead and generate the toString. So you can see right here. So toString. And basically you can select from these options. So let me go ahead and stick with the default and then OK. And you can see that now we have a toString that you can use to print out your objects. Now let me also go ahead and pretty much just generate the equals and hash code. So this is when you are using, for example, maps and you want to check whether two objects are equal. So again, you can pick from a template. So you can pick IntelliJ default, or if you have these libraries installed, you can pick from those. But let me simply go ahead and use Java util object equals and hash code from Java 7. So pick that and then next, next, and then next, and then select all of those and then finish. And you can see that now we have the equals and hash code generated. And you can see that we have generated quite a lot. So almost 57 lines by simply pressing Control and then Enter. And you can see that we can pretty much generate some code. So this is how you pretty much should be writing your POJOs. If you have any questions on generating code, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. Alright, in this video, let me go ahead and show you how you're going to be able to extract code into variables and methods. So go ahead and open up the demo application right here. So this contains the actual main class. And if I press this plus button right here, you can see that this expands, or you can simply press Command and then plus, and you can see that expands the method. If you want to revert, you can simply press Command and then minus, and it goes back. So just a quick tip. Now, let me go ahead and pretty much right here. So right here, let me go ahead and simply write some code. So let me go ahead and simply say SOUT. So this will give me the system.out.println. And basically this is a live template. So now let me go ahead and simply say hello and then how are you, right? So let's say that you want to extract this to a variable, right? So you want this to be a variable so that you can reuse it throughout your code. So for that, go ahead and press Option, Command, and then V. And you can see the keyboard shortcut down below for both Mac and Windows. And right here, let me simply say message. And there we go. So you can see that now we have successfully extracted this to a variable. So now if I want to inline, right? So let's say that now you want to inline it. So i.e. as it was before, simply press Option, Command, and then N. And you can see that this inlines the variable. So let me actually go ahead and say SOUT. And then let me grab this again so you see exactly what is happening. So if I paste that, now go ahead and press Command and then W to select a word, and then press it again, and you can see that it extended the selection. Now go ahead and extract this into a variable. So Option, Command, and then V. And you can see that now IntelliJ has detected that you have multiple occurrences. So I want to replace all 2 occurrences, and then simply say message. And there we go. You can see that now this is a variable that it's been reused throughout our code. Now, let's say that you also want to take all of this and extract it into a method, right? So you want to be able to create a method that simply does this computation. So for that, simply press Option, Command, and then M, so you can see the pattern. So V for variable, M for method. And right here, you can select whether you want it private or not, the return type. But for now, let's go ahead and simply say print and then message. So this is the name of the method, and you can see private static, void, print, and then message. Let me go ahead and refactor, and there you go. You can see that now you have this method, which was pretty much extracted into a method. And this is super cool, and you often find yourself extracting lots of code. And finally, let me go ahead and show you this awesome trick. So let's say that you want to have the ability to, instead of having this message right here, so hard coded, so hello, how are you, you want to be able to pretty much have this coming from this parameter right here. So from a method parameter, i.e. you want this to be a string and then message, and then you can simply remove that, right? And then right here, you'd simply say, hello, how are you? So for that, let me go ahead and revert this. So what you do is you can simply select this variable and then press Option, Command, and then P. So P is for parameter. So extract to parameter. And basically you can see that now I can simply name this, right? So let me go ahead and simply say this will be the message. And there we go. So you can see that it did exactly what I wanted. So let me go ahead and remove this space. So Command and then Y. And also let me go ahead and remove this system.out.println. So Command and then Y again. And you can see that now I can go ahead and simply reuse this method, but passing different arguments. So right here, let me go ahead and duplicate this. So Command and then D, and then I am fine. And you can see the power of extracting to a variable, method, and parameters. So if you have any questions on this, go ahead and drop me a message. But basically now you can start to see the power of IntelliJ and keyboard shortcuts. So go ahead and play around with these. And as I said, if you have any questions, drop me a message. Otherwise, join me in the next one. Alright, in this video, let me go ahead and show you how you're going to be able to create and run tests with IntelliJ. So go ahead and open up the email validator class right here. So go ahead and open that up, and let me close demo application. So right here, so the way that you create a test, or the easiest way for you to create a test, is simply by pressing Control and then Enter. And you can see that you have test right here. So if I press test, you can see that this is trying to create test, and basically it's picking the actual testing library, so on and so forth, right? So I personally don't create tests like this. I use a keyboard shortcut that will either create or jump to an existing test. So go ahead and press cancel, and the keyboard shortcut is Shift Command and then T. and you can also see the keyboard shortcut for Windows. And you can see that I do have one test, so email validator test. So there we go. So I'm inside of this test. So let me actually do this. Let me press Control and then A. So I'm going to select everything and then Command C. And let me go ahead and pretty much go to test. So right here, test, and then Java, and then Amigos code. And you can see that was a lot of clicking. So what I'm going to do is, if you press this button right here, so this circle right here, you can see that it opens the action class in the project panel. So right here, let me go ahead and simply delete the actual package because there is only one test. So I'm going to delete that. And also let me delete that, right? And also basically everything, right? So now we have no tests. So what I'm going to do is simply press Shift Command T. And remember, I said that it will create or open an existing test. So press Shift Command T, and you can see that now it's given me the option to create a test. So let me simply say create test. And you can see that I can configure the testing library. The class name, I always leave it as it is. So the class and then test, and then you can generate the setup. So let's actually go ahead and select those. And also you can generate the actual method right here. So actually I don't need the inherited methods. So I can generate a test for our test function right here. So this one, right? So let me go ahead and say okay. And you can see that now I do have some code, but I'm not using JUnit 5 right here. So let me actually select all, delete, and then Command V. So this was the test that we had previously. And there we go. So this is how you pretty much create tests with IntelliJ. So what about running your tests? Well, it's very simple. So you can either run all tests, as you can see right here in this class. So if I press Command and then F12, you can see that. So let me go ahead and unselect inherited methods. You can see that I do have 3 tests right here, right? So one, oh, actually, let me go ahead and press that again. You can see that we have these 3 tests, and also this is the actual field, right? So if you want to run all tests in this class, simply right click on the very top level class right here. You can see that there is a play button, or you can simply right click and then run email validated test. So let me go ahead and run it. And there we go. So now you can see that we have these results and they all pass, right? So all of these tests, they do pass. So let me actually make one test fail. So let me go ahead and simply remove the com there. And if I run all the tests again, so you can pretty much press run here, or you can pretty much right click and run, right? Either way. So let me run from here. And you can see that we have one failure right here. So tests fail 1 and then passed 2. So now I can go ahead and see what is wrong with the test. So I'm going to select the test, and you can see that I'm getting the actual failure, right? So you can see that expected true, but actual false. And you can click to see the differences. And basically it's the same thing, right? So let me cancel out of that. And finally, if you want to run a single test, simply, you can see that I do have this test right here, which is failing, right? So I can right click on that and then run it, right? So let me simply run a single test, and you can see that test fail 1 of 1. So let me actually go ahead and pretty much just run all the tests again. You can see that right here we have these 2 options. So this is really cool. So right here I can simply toggle this, and it will only show me the tests that are failing. And this is really great when you have a test class with lots of tests and you are really interested in the ones which have failed, right? So you can see right here, I have only one failed. So if I pretty much make this one fail, so let me say is and then true, and then run again all tests, you can see that now I do have 2 tests which are failing, but if I show past ones, I've got 1. And the next one, so this one here, shows the all ignored tests, right? So sometimes you might have the at and then ignore annotation right here. And if I pretty much run it, and you can see that it shows the ignored ones. But if you want to filter it out, simply click on that and you can see that it's gone. So let me actually remove that. And finally, one cool thing is, instead of you running all tests over and over again, right here you can see that you can rerun failed tests. And basically, if you have a class with a bunch of tests and for example 5 of them failed, instead of you running all 100 tests again, you can simply rerun the ones that have failed. And if I click on it, you can see that it only reruns the tests which are failing. So now let me actually go ahead and pretty much make them pass. So this was .com and this was is and then false. So if I rerun the failing tests, you can see that now every single test passes. So let me go ahead and show past tests, and you can see that we have 2 tests right here. And this is pretty much everything you should know about creating tests. If you have any questions on testing, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. Alright, let me go ahead and show you how you will be debugging your code with IntelliJ. So let's go ahead and run this test right here. So it should validate correct email. So let's run it. And you can see that it did pass. Now let's go back to the actual class. So to go back to the class, simply press Shift Command T. And basically Shift Command T navigates to the test, and it also goes back to the class which is being under test. So let me actually collapse this, and let's pretty much just simply, before you say .test, go ahead and say dot and then negate. So we're going to make this fail. So now let me go back to the test. So Shift Command T, and let's run the same test. And you can see that now it fails. But let's say that you wanted to debug this, i.e. insert some breakpoints and then pretty much just see what is happening with your code. So what you can do is simply, if I collapse this, you can simply right here where you see the line numbers, right? You can simply click on it, and now you can see that we have a breakpoint. And you can also see the keyboard shortcut, which is Command and then F8. So if I press Command F8 in the actual line, so you can see that I can toggle the actual breakpoint, right? So let me go ahead and add a breakpoint here. And also let's go back to email validator and let's add another breakpoint here. So you can either click here, or I prefer keyboard shortcuts, Command and then F8. So now go back to the test, and instead of running the test, pretty much just right click and then debug. And also you can see the keyboard shortcut for both running and debugging. So let's go ahead and debug this. And now you can see that we've hit the breakpoint. So right now we simply have stopped here. So you can see that we have a couple of options here. So we can pretty much step over F8. We can step into. Right here, you can see that we can force step into and step out. So let's simply go ahead and step over, and this will hit the next breakpoint. So if I step over, and now you can see that we are inside of our email validator class. So we simply have stopped here. Now the cool thing here is that right here you can see the variables, right? So you can see the variables, and you can pretty much even change the contents of this variable. So you can right click and then you can say set value, and then you can pretty much just play around with this. So I'm not going to do that just yet, but it's good to know that you can do it. So what I want to show you really is right here. Let's say that you want to execute this method and test it for yourself. So what you can do is simply right click and then evaluate expression, and you can see the keyboard shortcut. So option and then F8. So evaluate expression, and let me make this bigger. So basically, so let me actually cancel out of this and then select is email valid until the end, and then I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. So option and then F8, and there we go. So you can see that now I can evaluate this. So I can simply say evaluate, and this will give me the actual result. So you can see that this is returning false. And oops, I actually know what is wrong with this code, and basically is .negate. So let me actually go ahead and remove that, and I can evaluate again, and you can see that now it is true. So if I close this, and then right here you can simply resume by pressing this button right here, resume, and you can see that the actual test. So let's look at the test. So go to console. The test did fail. So let's actually now go back and debug this again. So this time, let me go back to the actual email validator and remove this breakpoint. So I'm just going to click on it. And now if I pretty much just step over, this will step over to the next line, which is this one. And it didn't stop in our email validator class because we have removed the actual test. And this is how you debug your code with IntelliJ. If you have any questions, as always, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. Let's go ahead and learn about Git integration with IntelliJ, and in my opinion, it's really awesome. And the more you use it, the more you will pretty much just see how powerful it is and what it has to offer. So in this video, let me go ahead and show you exactly how you're going to be able to create a branch, how you're going to be able to commit and push your changes, as well as creating pull requests. Everything from IntelliJ, right? So right here, you can see that we added this class right here, notification, and it was red. Also, this demo application class right here, and you can see that it's blue, meaning that it has some changes, and red, it means that it hasn't been added to your VCS. So go ahead and open up demo application. And one thing that I want to show you is that right here, you can see that we have this green highlight right here, right? So here, it means that these are changes. And if we click on it, you can see that you can pretty much just revert the whole thing. So I can roll back and you can see that everything has gone. So let me go ahead and press Command and then Z. And also a very nice thing that you can do is right here, if you pretty much right click somewhere next to these numbers, you can annotate. And when you annotate, this will show you the person that has made these changes. And you can see the date right here. and I can go ahead and pretty much just click on it. And you can see that this was everything within that commit. So you can see that there was quite a lot of code here. But this is useful when you want to find out who wrote what. So let me actually close this annotate. And basically the way that you can commit is by simply clicking on VCS. And then you can see that you have a couple of options here. So you have VCS operation pop-up, you can commit, you can update the project, i.e. you can pull from master, and also you can see that there is this Git section right here, and right here there is a bunch of stuff, right? So you can rebase, you can create pull requests, you can view pull requests, you can clone, you can fetch, you can pull, push, so on and so forth, right? So let me go ahead and use some keyboard shortcuts. So right here, you can see that you can commit. So right here, you can commit, and the keyboard shortcut is Command and then K. So if I press Command K, you can see that this takes me to this commit changes dialog. So let me actually close this and go back to VCS. And right here, you can see that you have this VCS operations pop up. So let me go ahead and press Control and then V. And right here, you can see that I do have this nice pop up with some of the options that I can use with Git. So I can also commit from here. You can revert, show history, so on and so forth. So let me go ahead and commit. And right here, you can see that we have this demo application right here. So I've just clicked on it, and you can see that these are the changes. So right here, I can pretty much navigate to every single file within this change set. So you can see that right here, I'm adding, so if I make this full screen, you can see that I went from having this main method with Spring application.run to having print message with this print message method. So I can go ahead and check the next file. So right here, you can see the arrow. So I'm going to click on it. And you can see that the next file was this notification. And basically everything green means that it's new. So you can see that there is no more changes right here. So in fact, let me actually close this and also this. And right here, let me simply go ahead and remove this line. So you see that this was a deletion. So if I press Command and then K, and then open up demo application, you can see that this now is a deletion and it's showing up, right? So let's say that I'm not happy with this. I can go ahead and revert the changes from here. And to be honest, I really don't need this print message. So all of these changes were simply for illustration purposes. So let me actually revert this also. So revert, and there we go. So now the contents are identical. So now you can see that I can close this, and basically the only change left is notification right here. Right? So this is the only change. But before I commit, it's usually best practice to create a GitHub branch, right? So you create a branch and then you push that branch and then you create a pull request from it. So let me actually cancel out of this before I commit. And right here, you can see that Git. So this is Git right here. So at the very bottom, you can see that we have this Git master. And I've just clicked on it and you can see all the remote branches, right? So origin master or origin app-1 and app-0. And also you can see that we have this local branch. So let's go ahead and create a new branch, and let's call this notification dash and then feature. And I can go ahead and check out to this branch. And now you can see that we have switched to notification feature branch. So now that we have this branch, next let's go ahead and commit the changes, and create a pull request right from IntelliJ. All right, so let's go ahead and commit our change, which is simply adding this notification class and also the package, right? So remember that we created a branch right here called notification feature, right? So this is our branch, and currently it's a local branch. So let's go ahead and pretty much commit our changes to this branch. So to commit, pretty much press Command and then K, and there we go. So now you can go ahead and select version files. So this is version because it's a brand new file. Now you can go ahead and add a message or commit message. So added notification model, for example, right? And then right here you can see that you have a bunch of things. So you can do a few things before committing. So you can reformat code, you can rearrange code, you can optimize imports, do some cleanup, and update copyright. So usually I tick optimize import because I don't have to clean all the imports manually, but IntelliJ will do it for you. And in fact, let me show you what I mean. So right here, if I go ahead and create a list, and right here you can see that we have a new import, so java.util-list. But let me go ahead and remove that list, and now you can see that this is an unused import. So let me go ahead and press Command K, and right here I'm going to tick optimize imports. So before it actually performs the commit, it will clean up this import. And then let me also go ahead and select version files because I want to add notification. And if I go ahead now and commit, and if you haven't set these globally, go ahead and set them. So for me, this will be amigos. There we go. Now let me also put uppercase N right here and then set and commit. And there we go. So 2 files were committed. So you can see that the import has disappeared. So that's what that checkbox did. Now, if I go ahead and press Command K, you can see that nothing to commit. So no changes detected. And this is awesome. Now, there are 2 ways that you can create a pull request. You can actually push the branch to remote and then create the pull request manually, or you can create the pull request right from IntelliJ. So to create the pull request from IntelliJ, simply go ahead and go to VCS and then Git, and right here you can say create pull request. And basically right here what you need to do is to actually enter your login credentials, and you can see that the server is GitHub. Now if I go ahead and log in, oops, I think that was the wrong password. So there we go. Now if I log in, and there we go. So I have successfully logged in, and now I can add a title for my pull request, and you can add some description, right? So let's say to do, and you can show the diff, and right here you can see that this was the commit and this was the change, right? So now let me go ahead and close this, and then close this as well, and all you have to do is simply press OK, and you can see that it's pushing and also creating the pull request. Now the cool thing that I like about this is that you can see right here you have the actual link for the pull request. So all you have to do is pretty much just open that, and then right here you can see that it took me to this link right here, and this is the pull request. So if I need someone to have a look at this before merging, I can simply share this link with the reviewer, and in fact I can add reviewers from here, right? And there we go. So this is it. So now I can see the commit. So this was the commit, and I can click on the commit, and I can see the actual model or the changes. And this is pretty much how you integrate IntelliJ with Git. There is a lot that you can do, and also you can add keyboard shortcuts to create branches, to create pull requests. And this is even better because you can simply use keyboard shortcuts and do stuff much faster. So if you have any questions on Git integration, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, this is all for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Let's go ahead and learn how you're going to be able to write other languages other than Java. So IntelliJ is really powerful, and you're not just limited to Java, but you can also write in Kotlin and Groovy. So let's go ahead and learn how we are going to convert this class called notification to a Kotlin class. So Kotlin is very powerful and very popular, and basically in Android world it's pretty much taking over. So almost everyone is switching to Kotlin because of what the language has to offer. With IntelliJ, you can change your Java classes to Kotlin classes, and the way that you do it is right click on the actual class that you want. So this notification class, right click, and then you can see at the very bottom I can convert Java file to Kotlin file. So I can go ahead and press that, and you can see the keyboard shortcut as well. Now go ahead and simply say yes, and there we go. So now this is in Kotlin, so you can see that this is a Kotlin class. So you see that we haven't configured Kotlin yet, but this is how you would convert a Java class to Kotlin. So let me actually go ahead and revert this because I don't trust this, and pretty much, I want to be able to convert the classes myself so that I have full control, right? And the generated code, sometimes it might not be what we want. So let me go ahead and undo this action. And what we're going to do here is simply under notification package, let's go ahead and create a new class. And right here, let's simply go ahead and create a Kotlin file. So this will be a class, and let's name this as notification and then event, and then press enter, and there we go. So you can see that this now is a Kotlin class. Now let's go ahead and configure Kotlin with Maven, and then pretty much just say all modules containing Kotlin files, and then the compiler. So you can pick between these compilers and runtime versions. So go ahead and pick the latest one, and then OK. And there we go. Now let me go ahead and enable auto import. So this will import some dependencies. So just give it a second. And there we go. So now you can see that under properties, I have Kotlin version right here. So let me close this pom.xml, and now we can write some Kotlin. So let's go ahead and let's simply say constructor, and within this constructor, let's simply have a var, and then let's simply say this was the event, and then the type will be string. And for now, just leave it as it is. So this class is very simple, but basically you can, evolve on this. And the point of this really is not to, show you how to write Kotlin, but how you can write some Kotlin classes. So now we have this notification event. Let's go ahead and create a new main class. So under comamigoscode.demo, let's go ahead and create a new class. So class, and then this will be main, and then Kotlin. There we go. And let's go ahead and simply say fun for function, and this will be main. So this is our main function. Now let's go ahead and simply say val. So this is some Kotlin, and then let's simply say event equals to, and then notification event. And then inside we can pass the actual event. So let's simply say notification received event, right? And there we go. So now let's go ahead and print to the console event dot and then event, and there we go. So this is how you write some Kotlin with IntelliJ. Now to run this, we simply have to and actually I realize that we don't need this class right here, so let me just delete that, and you can see that we get the play button right here. So let me go ahead and pretty much format this. So I'm going to press Option Command and then L, and you can see that we reformatted the code. So now I can go ahead and pretty much just play this. And you can see that we have notification received event. And this is how you write Kotlin with IntelliJ. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Alright, so as you saw throughout this course, the power of IntelliJ, it's incredible. So what I want to focus now is actually using IntelliJ Ultimate Edition. And right here, remember when we started this course, I've mentioned that if you want to use the ultimate version, you have to pay for it. But they give you a 30-day trial for you to experiment with the tool and make sure that it is the tool that you need. So as I said, most of the times I find that community is sufficient, but there are times that you need that extra functionality that the ultimate version does offer. So right here you can see the differences between the ultimate and community. So basically it comes down to JavaScript, so web development, and then support for Spring, Play, Grails, and other frameworks, as well as database tools, SQL. So this is really great, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. And also detecting duplicates, which detects duplicates of code that you may have throughout your code base. And I think that there should be a plugin that already does this, such as find bugs. So let's go ahead and download IntelliJ Ultimate Edition. So instead of you downloading from this button right here, so download, which will download the actual IntelliJ Ultimate, and then you can install it. So instead of us downloading like that, let's actually use a tool called Toolbox. And Toolbox allows us to manage our JetBrains apps. So if I scroll down, you can see that I do have get the Toolbox app right here. But if you don't see this button, simply scroll up and then go to Tools. And then right here at the bottom, you can see that we have the Toolbox app. So a control panel for your tools and projects. So click on it. And you can see that this is how it looks like. So pretty much you can, update the versions, and pretty much you can have, a list of all your applications in one place. So let's go ahead and download. So you can see that it's also free. So download. And I'm going to save that to my desktop. And there we go. So if I open it up, so right here, and the installation process is the same for Windows. There we go. So now I'm going to drag it into my applications folder. And that's it. So let me close this and let me get rid of this file right here. There we go. And also let me eject this. And now let me open Toolbox. Open. And then let me simply accept. And there we go. So now you can see that it detected that we manually installed IntelliJ Community Edition. And right here you can see the list of all the JetBrains applications, and it's really great. So let's go ahead and pretty much install the IntelliJ Ultimate Edition. So pretty much click on install. Now just sit back and relax until this is finished, and I'll catch you on the next one. Alright, now that we have IntelliJ Ultimate Edition installed, we can go ahead and open it up. But before, let me actually mention that if you click on this clock right here you can see that you can log into a JetBrains account. So it's best practice for you to create an account so that you have all the apps saved up. So if you move computers, then you can simply log back in and download all of your apps and configuration. So I'm going to skip this step for now, but go ahead and create an account because it's best practice. So let me go back to Tools and open up IntelliJ Ultimate Edition. And there we go. So if you have any setting that you wish to import, you can simply go ahead and import any configuration. But for me, I don't have anything to import, so I'm going to say do not import and then OK. And let me confirm, continue. And this time, let me go ahead and switch to the dark theme and simply skip remaining and set defaults. So right here, you can see that it's asking me to activate the license. So if you have a license, simply log in and everything will be fine. And also, if you are a student, you should get Ultimate Edition for free. So it's really awesome. So in my case, I'm going to evaluate for free. And you can see that I've got 30 days and simply evaluate. And there we go. So now let me go ahead and simply open a project. Let me go to code and let me open the Spring Boot React full stack. Let me actually open the pom.xml and then open as project. And right here, let's simply go ahead and open existing project. So we don't want to delete existing and import. So we simply want to open existing project. There we go. And I don't need to see this every time IntelliJ opens up. Close. And if I put this full screen, there we go. And you can see right here, it picked up the Spring Boot application and it's saying that unmapped Spring configuration files found. And basically you can go ahead and customize this. But for now, let me simply go ahead and open up the project. So I want you to see something. So if I open up source and then main, Java, com.amigos code, and let me open up, for example, so let's open up the student package and then controller. And right here, you can see that it's picking up these as beans. So you can see that we have this bean icon right here. The same for the constructor. And if I open up the student service, you can see that now we have support throughout our code base. So if I click on it, you can see that it's taken me where this gets instantiated. This is really, really, really awesome. Also, you can see right here, if I click on this bean with the search icon, I get all the beans in this application, which is really, really awesome. So I can navigate throughout my application much easier. And you can see the Spring integration in action. So as you can see, this is really, really great stuff. And you can go ahead and increase the font size, and everything that we've learned with IntelliJ Community Edition will apply to Ultimate. Next, let me go ahead and show you how to connect to a real database using IntelliJ Ultimate Edition. Let's go ahead and learn how to use IntelliJ to connect to a database. So I'm going to be using Postgres, and Postgres, it's an amazing relational database, And if you want to learn more about it, go ahead and check my website. I've got a full course on it. Also, I'm going to be using Docker. So you can see right here, I'm going to spin up a database on my machine using Docker. And also, if you want to learn about Docker, go ahead and check my website where I've got a full course on Docker. So this assumes that you have any database that you want to connect to it. And if you have any questions on databases and whatnot, go ahead and drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to assist you on that. So go ahead and open up IntelliJ, and right here on the very far right, so right here you can see that there is a database section. So go ahead and click on it. And the way that you connect to a database is by creating a data source. So let's go ahead and create data source. Right here, data source. And then right here, you pick your engine. So in our case, we want to connect to a PostgreSQL database. And now you can give it a name. So in our case, let's go ahead and simply name this as person-ndb. You can add some comments. Then the host will be localhost, the port 5432. Our user will be post and then gress. So this might be different for you depending on the database engine and how you have configured your database. So in my case, let me actually type the password as well. Then the database, I've got a database called Amigos Code. And then all I need to do is simply test the connection. And everything good. Apply. Okay. And then right here, let me simply introspect the database. And right here on the right hand side, you can see that we have databases. So one database, you can see that it's Amigos Code. I can expand on it. Schemas, nothing, access methods, extensions, and then roles right here. And you can see that this is working beautifully. Now let me go ahead and pretty much just create a table. So inside of Amigos Code, inside of the public schema, so let me simply say okay. So inside of the public schema, what I'm going to do is simply say create, so all caps, so create table and then person, and for now let's simply say a name. This will be a varchar, and you can see the auto completion working beautifully. 255, and then not, and then no. Now if I click on the play button to execute it, you can see that worked. Now if I expand databases, Amigos Code, and you can see that now we have the public schema, and inside we have person right here with one column called name. So if I go ahead, type select, so let's go ahead and say select, and then star from, and then person, and then I can simply select this statement and then run, and you can see that we get nothing. Let me go ahead and simply say insert into, and then person, and then inside we have name, and then values, and then let me simply say John, and then Smith. There we go. Now if I highlight that, press command and then enter, you can see that worked. If I now select star from person, you can see that right here we have John Smith. So let me go ahead and add Adam, and then Cook, and then select from person. Well, actually I need to execute this again, and then select star from person, and you can see that we have both John Smith and Adam Cook. And this is just some of the things that you can do with this database tool inside of IntelliJ Ultimate, but you can do a lot more than this. If you have any questions on database integration, go ahead and drop me a message and I'll be more than happy to assist. So if you take my course on databases, you will find out that I prefer to use the terminal because that's the real way that you will learn how to use a database. So in my opinion, I think that you should be staying away from these graphical user interfaces, database tools, because they kind of make you lazy and you don't really have full control of your database. Having said that, you should be aware of these tools and know how to use them. If you have any questions, as I said, drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on. Alright, let me go ahead and show you how to create a Maven project with either IntelliJ Ultimate or Community Edition. So let me go ahead and pick the Ultimate. So I still have my 30-day trial. There we go. So now go ahead and create new project. And right here, you can see that you have a list of all projects that you can create. So you can see that you have Java, JBoss, Spring, JavaFX, Android, Maven, Spring Initializer, Groovy, Node, so on and so forth. So the same applies with, so if I open up the Community Edition, just give you a second. So if I create a new project, so right here you can see that you can still create a Maven project. So Groovy, Kotlin, Java, JavaFX, IntelliJ platform plugin, but you can see that the list is much smaller. So it really doesn't matter because sometimes you might want to create a project from scratch. So you might want to have a bare bone project and then add stuff as you need and not having IntelliJ to create the project that you want. So let's go ahead and create a Maven project. So go ahead and select Maven, and then I'm not going to select any archetype. Next, and then for the group ID, com.amigos code, and go ahead and select your own domain. And right here, let me simply say hello Maven. And then next, and then right here I'm going to have the project location inside of code, and then finish. So if I put this full screen, there we go, it's syncing and finished. So if I collapse this, you can see that if I open hello Maven folder and then source, I've got main test and then Java resources, and if I open test, I've got the Java folder right here, and you can see that I do have this pom.xml. So this is a typical Maven project file structure. But what I really want to show you is if you click on the very far right, so you can see that we have this Maven tab. So right here you can see that if I expand this, I've got the life cycle as well as the plugin section. So this is all the plugins that we currently have installed, and then you can see that the life cycle, so clean, validate, compile, test, package, verify, install, cite, and deploy. So sometimes you might want to type Maven clean install, so you can do it right within IntelliJ. So this is how you create a Maven project. So obviously we didn't write any code, but really that's up to you and the project that you want to create. Next, let me actually go ahead and show you how to create a Spring Boot application with IntelliJ. Alright, let me go ahead and show you how to create a Spring Boot application right within IntelliJ. So go ahead and navigate to File, and then New, and then Project. And remember, so this is the Ultimate Edition. And because it's Ultimate, we can create project from different sources. So right here, you can see that you have Spring Initializer, and you do not have this option with the Community Edition. So if you want to learn more about Spring Boot, go ahead and check my website where I've got this course, so Spring Boot 2 Essentials, where I take you through on how to create a Spring Boot application and how it works. And basically, I'm going to teach you how to build APIs with Spring Boot. So Spring Boot, it's amazing. Everyone is using it, including Netflix, and you should also learn about Spring Boot. So for now, go ahead and follow along. So let me go ahead and pick the Java 11. So I'm going to pick Java 11. And right here, so the initializer service URL will be start.spring.io. So if I click on that, this takes me to this page right here where I can bootstrap the Spring Boot application. So what I'm going to do is simply click next. And right here, so you can see that this set of options is available right here. So what I'm going to do is simply leave everything as is. Or actually, I could have chosen Java 12, so it's actually available right here. So language, and then options, I can see Java 12 right here. So let me actually go to previous, and then Java 12, and then next, and then Java 12 right here. And you can change these, but I'm going to leave it as it is. And then right here, you can pick all of these dependencies that Spring Boot provides. So if you want to learn more about Spring Boot, check my website where I teach all of this for free. But for now, let's simply go ahead and select this Spring Web. So this is a dependency that allows us to build web application, including RESTful, using Spring MVC and Apache Tomcat. So obviously there is a bunch of other things, but for now, let's go ahead and simply stick with one dependency, and then go ahead and click next. And then for the project name, go ahead and type hello-spring and then boot, and then finish. And then right here, let me simply open in this window. So I don't want to open in a new window. And there we go. So now it's syncing. So this is actually resolving all the dependencies. So just give it a second. All right, so that's done. Next, go ahead and open up the Hello Spring Boot folder. And by the way, this is a Maven project. And open up source, main, Java. And then inside of the main package, you should see this demo application. There we go. So now let me actually go ahead and write some code. So what I'm going to do is simply create a class right here, and let's simply name this as controller. And within this class, I'm going to annotate with @ and then rest and then controller, and also @ and then request and then mapping. So what I'm going to do is simply inside of this request mapping, I'm going to say API and then /v1 and then students. Next, what I'm going to do is create another class called and then student. And inside of this class, let me simply have a final. So actually private final and then string name. And let me add this to constructor. So you've learned this. And let me also generate the getter. There we go. And let me simply collapse this. And inside of this controller, what I'm going to do is simply create a method. So public and then get, or actually this will be a list of student. So the class that we've just created, get all and then students. And then right here, I'm going to return list dot and then of and then new student. And then right here, let me simply say Ali and then Mohammed, and then end up with semicolon. And finally, let's simply annotate this with @ and then get and then mapping. And don't worry about this. So this is some Spring Boot configuration. And if you want to learn more about Spring Boot, go ahead and check my website where I teach all of this. So for now, what we need to do is simply run this application. So let me go ahead and simply run the main method. Just give it a second. And And there we go. Right here, you can see that we have a message saying Tomcat started on port 8080. So let's go ahead and pretty much say localhost 8080 API v1 and then students and see what we get. So let me go ahead and open up my web browser. So right here, I'm going to say localhost 8080 /API /v1 / and then students. Enter. And there we go. So right here, you can see that we have this JSON object. In fact, it's an array that contains students. So right here, you can see that we have only one student and its name is Ali Mohammed. And this is just a quick glance of Spring Boot. And to be honest, the goal is not to teach you Spring Boot, but how you can create a Spring Boot application within IntelliJ. And as I said, if you want to learn more about Spring Boot, go ahead and check my website. And this course will teach you everything you need to know about Spring Boot. And to be honest, it's one of the best Java frameworks for building applications. This is all for now. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a message. Otherwise, I'll catch you on the next one. See ya. Alright, so as you saw throughout this course, we did cover quite a lot of things about IntelliJ Community and Ultimate Edition. So we've actually learned the most essential things that you should be using, but as your experience grows with IntelliJ, you will find out more tricks that will suit your needs. So there are other features of IntelliJ that you will learn as you start using IntelliJ more and more. So what I suggest you to do is to go ahead and download this keyboard mapping. So right here you can see all the keyboard shortcuts for both Windows and Mac OS users. And what I did when I started using IntelliJ was I printed this list and also installed Presentation Assistant. And that way I kept on, learning all these keyboard shortcuts over time, unless I'm using a feature that I don't use that often. So also what I want to mention is that JetBrains has a lot of other IDEs. So if you want to write Android, for example, Android apps, you can download Android Studio. If you want to write Python, they've got Python Professional, or actually PyCharm Professional and Community. So the same with IntelliJ. If you want to write JavaScript, you can either use the Ultimate, so IntelliJ Ultimate, or you have a dedicated IDE for JavaScript. And to be honest, when it comes to JavaScript, also Python, for example, I tend to stick with VS Code. So VS Code is the other IDE which I do recommend you start using it. It's amazing, right? So IntelliJ and VS Code are my IDEs that are always open on my machine. So next, you can see that, for example, they have data grip. So this is for connecting to databases, view databases, so on and so forth. And if you want to learn more about databases, check out my course on PostgreSQL. So right here, you can see that they have also an IDE for Go, Ruby, even Swift, and pretty much this is it. So as I said, go ahead and create an account so you can have a list of all of your installed apps in one place, so that if you switch computers, you don't lose your apps. And finally, you can see that right here, I've got an update that I can do, or I can update all of them. So it's always best practice to keep on getting the latest features of your IDE. So it was a pleasure teaching you, and I'm going to wrap up things next. All right, so thank you so much for being with me throughout this course. As you saw, IntelliJ, it's super powerful. Now, a suggestion for you is, as you start using IntelliJ, I know it will be impossible for you to memorize and remember everything that we've learned throughout this course. But if you want to do something with IntelliJ, right? So for example, if you want to refactor or, use method hierarchy or debug, for example, try and think how you would do it using keyboard shortcuts. So I'm going to leave a link where you can download the keyboard shortcuts. And, the way I did it before was I printed out everything. I put it right next to my desk. And then if I needed to do something, it could even take me like a minute or two to figure it out. But over time, it did make me a much more productive engineer. And I'm pretty sure that you will also become a much more productive software engineer. So go ahead and connect with me on LinkedIn. Follow me on my YouTube channel where I post content every now and then. Subscribe. And if you haven't joined the private Facebook group to engage with other students and also to connect with me, go ahead and join. And it was a pleasure teaching you. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.